In this Planet Zoo video, we're going to be creating a very large multi-species habitat. We're going to be including the giraffe and the beautiful zebra. We're going to have many different viewing areas and advantage points to view these beautiful animals in this large habitat, as well as a custom-made feeding station. We're going to be building it right at the top end here and closing off Newtropic Zoo, because that's right, this is the last episode. Unfortunately, I just think it's outgrowing itself now and it's time for a big habitat. So let's get this habitat started in that top end there, in this large environment of an area. We're going to first start off with creating a vantage point, kind of like a little sheltered area where our guests can come up, and it's going to give the impression that our guests can actually feed the giraffes from this little hut, from this little vantage point as well. Obviously that's not a mechanic in the game that we can have, but I'm going to give the impression that they can do. And that's what you've got to do sometimes. You've just got to use your imagination, and that will spark your creativity. No reference images for this. It just totally kind of like went with it and to see what would work. I kind of wanted to create this little hut. I wanted this to still have the same theme, that modern theme with the same building pieces and colour scheme and stuff like that, what the rest of Newtropic Zoo has got. But I kind of wanted it to kind of look a little bit more natural, so we're going to be adding a lot of foliage throughout this build and making the backdrop look like a natural kind of like safari, you know, outback kind of feel, natural look about it, with a lot of rock work, a lot of rock faces and foliage as well. And we're going to have a lovely kind of like man-made stream what goes into a cave at the back. It does come out looking really well, and I'm really happy how this habitat comes out looking. And this is actually the largest habitat I have ever created, regardless of Newtropic Zoo or not. It is the biggest habitat I have ever created, and I really enjoyed doing it. Luckily I had some pre-made kind of like rock and foliage work done with other habitats around the zoo, but I could just pick that off and then create the backdrop for this habitat, so that saved a lot of time. But even with that, you'll see this is a very long video. I'm thinking this video is going to be about 20 minutes long, so if you do want to stay for it, I will much appreciate if you watch the whole of the video. I mean, this is the last episode of Newtropic Zoo. Newtropic Zoo is not finished though. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do a live stream, hopefully in the May half term, kind of like towards the end of May. I'm planning on doing it. I'm going to do kind of like a finishing live stream where I finish this zoo off, add all the little bits of extra details I want to add, and then boom, ready for the zoo tour, ready to upload the whole zoo to the Steam Workshop page. Just the left of this hut here, you can see I'm trying to kind of create kind of like a moat. This is going to separate where the animals are to the guests. We're going to add a custom barrier as well. But you see this a lot in zoos, just to keep the actual animals well away from the guest. And I thought it just looked decent, and we carry on with that kind of like same moat theme as well on the other side. We do end up creating another kind of like hard shelter building for the animals, and we're going to create an indoor area as well for our guests, separate to this little hut. This, like I said, this habitat did take me a long time, but the good thing about it is I enjoyed every single moment of building it. And I always say, if you're not enjoying it, stop it, rethink it, come off Planet Zoo for a bit, go back to it and find out what you enjoy building and build that. Because if you don't enjoy doing something, well, you won't enjoy doing it. Not only that, but it won't come out looking good because you're not enjoying doing it. You can see me just trying to figure out how I want this to look as well. The front of it, I kind of wanted like a little planter area, and then the grid system was annoying me and it just wasn't fitting, so I thought I'm going to have to create my own little planter off the grid, of course. And if you are new to Planet Zoo and you are a console player, then hello and welcome. Even though my ideas will give you ideas and inspiration of what to build in Planet Zoo, obviously all the controls are differently. So you're not going to be able to follow along with me building it here really. But the building pieces and the design and the inspiration, feel free to use. And if you want to be part of a Discord community where we share what we build and have a little chat, and you can talk to me directly and I can give you my personal tips or help you with anything, then the Discord link will be in the description down below, as well as all my other stuff like my social media and my Steam Workshop page for everything I build. Apart from this, because this is not going to be put on the Steam Workshop page, it would just be so difficult to place as a blueprint with all the different terrain modifications in and all the different aspects and building groups and the amount of pieces what's in this one habitat. It'd just be a page pain in the ass to place for anybody, including myself, if I was to place it off the Steam Workshop page. So I've left it off. Most of the stuff in Newtropic Zoo is on the Steam Workshop page, so if you see anything in any of my videos, just go over and check and see what's on there. And obviously I'm going to upload the full zoo as a zoo file once it is completed after that live stream in May. Just creating this kind of like rock and foliage area here now to separate the building from the from the mortared off area, and just creating different aspects to run that null barrier through. I'm creating, we've got the morts, we've got the building, and we've got a rock face now, haven't we, with foliage and rocks, and that's 3 different aspects in one viewing area. So it just breaks it up a little bit. You can run a null barrier across it. I said this all the time: use no barriers, don't use the in-game barriers, and your guest will definitely escape it, but your animals will not escape it. Just adding different elements now, like planted kind of like logs there, and trying to just spruce up this area and try to keep it as detailed as possible. And I always try to do that with builds. Even if I'm doing modern builds like this, I still try to keep it as detailed as possible. By the way, if you have enjoyed this video, then hit that like button, and if you do want any tips or tricks for Planet Zoo, or you want to just watch me create stuff, then you might as well subscribe if you're not already. Just finishing off this roofing area now of this, and I went with the custom roof. The on-the-grid roof system was just not working for me. It just really wasn't, because everything was 2 by 2 meters sticking out, and it just wasn't all level. And to keep it more high detailed, I thought, let's just add a custom roof. So first we had to add the custom beams in, which you can see us doing, and I kind of wanted like a gated off kind of like, how do I put it? I didn't want solid walls, I wanted gaps in the walls. So I created kind of this trellis look, I would call it, kind of like this canopy area with the wood pieces from the conservation pack, one of my favourite packs in Planet Zoo. I recolored them to kind of like a silver grey to match the floor on the inside of this little hut. And we're just going to build it up. It's going to be kind of like very abstract here. And just kind of layer them down just like that, creating holes, and it gives off the impression that it's a brilliant viewing area for any guest coming into this. Imagine having this barrier, but yeah, see-through barrier, so you're going to feel safe so that animals can't put their head through, but you can also see through it and get a great view of our giraffes and our zebras. I wanted to do a large mixed species habitat for the last habitat of Newtropic Zoo. Most of the habitats are actually relatively small, apart from one, which was the African wild dog, I think, or is it the hyena? It might have been the hyena. See, I'm even confused what I've built. I'd have to look back at the series and the videos what I've created. But yeah, I wanted a large habitat with multi-species in it. Like I said, this is a start. I've never actually created a habitat this big. This is the biggest habitat I've ever created. I believe it's between 7,000 and 8,000 square meter space, this habitat. So it's a big boy, it's a big habitat. I could have fitted in well more animals, which I might actually do during the live stream in May. I might put some more animals in my zoos. We're gonna have to get rid of some because they've been breeding like mad, especially the aardvarks. I don't know what's going on in the aardvark habitat, but I started with 2 and now I've got like 12, so I need to sort that out and do a little bits and bobs before it's ready to be completed. Now the trellis kind of like bit is completed in this. It was time to add our custom roof. We've got a little custom canopy roof at the front, but before that, you'll see a lot of the time I do jump from thing to thing, and that's because I'm looking for inspiration and trying to keep my mind entertained here. So I thought, oh, I'll build a little barrier, and I found this door. Now this is the glass door, which I've never seen before, and I thought if I put 2 together here, it looks like it's like a hold on handle as a barrier for guests. But it's not, it's a door, and I've never seen this door. Can anyone give me any insight of when this was added to Planet Zoo? Because I've never seen it until I recorded this video and made this habitat. I really didn't. So I used a little arch to make sure I've got everything in proportionate and to size, and I just started to create this door, well, it's not a door, is it? I'm using it as a barrier. This barrier, I wanted it with the same wood pieces, and I thought that's perfect. It looks like our guests can hold onto the handles. And then I had the thought of, wait a minute, this, now I've actually built it, would look better if I put it here, and kind of created like a custom feeding area for the guests. If I just kind of like redesign it and kind of like crop it in like I'm trying, you see me doing here, delete some of this trellis area after I've grouped it all together, and create kind of like this feeding station. And then with the handles I can dangle off the buckets from my backstage areas of other habitats to look like our guests can literally hand feed the giraffes, or at least our zookeepers can go up and give a demonstration of feeding like you would do with the animal talks and stuff. But I just didn't want the animal talks up here. I want it kind of like a more personal area for the guest. And it just works really well, and I'm really happy with it. I'm definitely going to use this door as a barrier in the future as well as an actual door. And then I started thinking, does Planet Zoo now and again add stuff and don't tell you about it? Like they'll put a patch in, like an update patch, a general patch, and they'll give you all the update notes, and they'll add some stuff what you've never seen before. I'm sure they do that. I'm sure I've caught them out, and I'm sure they do that. Those they go, just copying them bucket areas from the backstage area of the aardvark habitat, and we're just going to put some dangling in here. So it just looks like they're dangling off this, and it just creates this beautiful effect that our guests can feed our animals, and I'm really happy with how it came out looking. We're going to add a little hoop like that. Again, it's all in the detailing. All the detailing will come together as a whole and make the habitat as a whole look better. Let's just dangle it there. And this is what it looked like with complete. We've got an education board and a notice board there, but that is this area of this habitat complete. It was then the painstaking task of me creating kind of like a stream, a river, would you call it? It looks man-made though. You can see on the right hand side we've included the plaster pieces. This kind of like cuts that area off and stops the water leaking out. We're going to add a drainage system later, and you can see at the back is like a cave entrance, isn't it, where the water will go into. I kind of wanted to give the two looks of a natural look as well as a man-made look. That's why I wanted to kind of create that cave, like the stream is going into the cave, but we've also blocked it off with kind of like a man-made canal, would you call it? Yeah, we can call it canal. And we're just going to do out this area as well. I'm just going to bulk it out a bit. I kind of want it like a drainage area, so it looks like any bits and bobs what you would find floating in the water can be drained out of the actual stream. And we're going to, at the back here, you can see me creating that cave area now. I fiddle around quite a lot with the colour. I went with a tropical look with the water, because that's what I've done throughout the rest of the zoo, and I wanted to keep that same look. We do end up recolouring it to make it look a little bit more natural, a little bit more light, and a little less intense on the colouring of the water. Yeah, just making this kind of like drainage system now and just blocking it all off. And I needed to bulk this area out as well, because like I said, this is the last episode, so this is the last habitat I'm ever going to build in this zoo. And I wanted to kind of like think in the future of how am I going to look like this zoo, because this is the end habitat, isn't it? Kind of like blocked off and everything's safe, so your kiddies can't go running off into the wild and possibly get eaten by a wild animal, because I remember kind of like in the outback of the African grassland here, aren't we? So I kind of needed to block it off, and of course we're going to use a lot of planters and a lot of foliage in, and that's what I do recommend in any gap filling. I have got a full gap filling tutorial if you want to go and check that out if you're struggling with filling gaps in your zoos. Just add foliage like this, add planters. These are the planters in. Let's bank some foliage in these planters and bulk it out a little bit, and you can see the drainage system is up and running there next to and in the far distance of the planters. So let's add some foliage now. Got some foliage in the background. I'm going to add some foliage to the planters. And how better does that look now it's squared off like that? Now the water, you can see, like I said, I'm going to recolour it to more kind of like natural look, but still tropical look. And then we're going to put a little cave here, and again, this is just to give it a more natural look as well. There's so much rock work and so much foliage I need to add to that back wall. You can see I've already started at the cave entrance on the right hand side, and we need to bulk that area out. First we're going to bulk this area out, and we're going to create another viewing area, a separate viewing area. And again, we're going to do a feeding station, but not a guest feeding station. This feeding station is going to look like, it gives the impression that our giraffes can go in the water and stand in the water, but still reach into some foliage what has been planted into planters into this viewing area. That was a mouthful, and I hope it made sense to you, because it made sense in my brain telling you. But yeah, we're going to bulk out this area, and we're going to create a separate viewing area here. And we're going to obviously have to create a custom fence with that. So the good old mesh comes out. I love the mesh pieces. A lot of people said to me, well, how do you get the mesh pieces? What pack are they in? They're not. They're released free in an update. Just type in mesh and you will, in the construction tab in the search bar, and you will find them. And you can create stuff like you see me creating here with the mesh. We're going to create a custom fence. And we're going to place them down, and again in the middle of it we're going to have that kind of like self-service feeding station for the giraffes that they could just put the head in, and you know, we're going to make sure our guests still are safe as well, while getting an amazing view of the giraffes what are having their lovely food, what's going to be inside this habitat. I would love to Planet Zoo to actually include these kind of mechanics in the game, like feeding stations and stuff like that. But unfortunately, we're not. We've got the talk points, and the staff can feed the animals in the talk points and stuff like that. But to get like self ones would be really good. That's all like animal mechanics where our animals can come up to a fence, graze, with an amazing view of them for our guests. That would be really good if they included those kind of mechanics, maybe in the future. I am expecting at least one more DLC from Planet Zoo. Obviously, I have no inside information. I don't know when that will be or what kind of DLC it will include. Obviously, console has just been released. And do you know what? If you're watching this video right then please hit that like button. Honestly, I appreciate it so much. I've seen quite a large influx of new people watching my channels. I've seen an increase in subscribers and views, and that probably is with the console edition coming out and people wanting to learn how to do certain stuff or to get some inspiration from videos like you are watching now. So I do really appreciate it, and yeah, it's exciting times for me. It's a hobby. I've always enjoyed creating stuff in Planet Zoo and creative games like Planet Zoo, and for me to be able to just record that and try to help people or give some inspiration, and people to get actually good feedback to me and saying that, you know, my stuff has inspired them or helped them in Planet Zoo to be better at the game. It's just, honestly, it's just, I have no words because it's just still mind-blowing to me. Right, back to the actual video now. I've actually shown my appreciation, which I really appreciate. Especially if you're watching this video this long. I understand this video is probably about 20 odd minutes long, and I think we're up to like minute 16 at the moment. So I do appreciate it if you are still watching, because it is a long video. I know some of you like watching with just my voice in the background. I don't know why, because I get a lot of compliments with my voice, and I personally hate my voice. I really don't like re-listening to my videos back, which I have to do when I'm recording them. I really don't like my own voice. I think it sounds really common. I mean, maybe people like that. I do mispronounce a lot of things. I have got dyslexia, so that doesn't help with my writing and the way I pronounce things and how I read things. It doesn't help. But yeah, so people have been giving me compliments on my voice recently and said that it's quite soothing and they have it on in the background, which still weirds me out to this day. But anyway, this viewing area is really coming along now, and you can see I'm building the station where our giraffes will come in and they will graze. They will get the wheat, the bush, whatever they graze on, the plants they need to graze on inside this, and those two higher barriers, and that gap is where they can poke their head in, but it still keeps our guests safe. You know, I'm really happy how Newtropic Zoo is looking now, with this being the final episode and the final habitat. Got a little bit of touch-up bits to do, which I've mentioned earlier on in the video, but I am really happy with it, but also a bit sad. Like, I'm thinking now, what am I going to do with myself now? Now I've not got a project, I'm going to have to start a new project. So that means starting a new zoo, right? Or something like that. I really don't know. I need to think, sit down, do a bit of mind mapping, do a bit of drawing out and a bit of planning of what I want to achieve and what I want videos to release on the channel and what I want to teach people or what I want to show people I can do. Right, in the back wall, we just copied and pasted the rock formations from the other back wall of the zoo, but when it all comes together, it looks like this. Created a little cave area as well with a little water fountain. Just thought it looked really good. And then the same around the river. It was just hours and hours of layering on rocks and foliage, but it looks natural and it looks good. And then I thought, wait a minute, what am I doing? All the way through my park, I've got disabled access ability throughout it, ramps going up to everywhere, and I didn't have a ramp here, I just had steps. So I thought that can't be on. At least it give the impression that there's a ramp here for disabled access. Because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted this zoo to be all flat when it comes to paths and stuff like that, and have ramps going where we need them. Right, so the biggest part now. This is a very unique building, and it's something what I'd imagined in my head, but I really didn't know how I was going to execute it. Sometimes that happens in life. You have a plan and your plan goes to shit, but it didn't really go to shit. I had to change the design a little bit, and I really struggled with building this. Actually, you know, if you're watching this and you're struggling with building stuff, you're not the only one. 1,400 plus hours in this game, and I still struggle with building stuff in Planet Zoo, especially when it comes to paths. But that's a whole different subject, isn't it? The path system in this game. I'm just creating this set, so this is going to be one wall. It's 2 by 2 meters. It's 2 by 6 meters, 2 meters width, 6 meters long. And we're just going to add a little trim to the glass, and this is going to be the viewing area, another viewing area, but an inside one. So our guest, if it is raining, they can get a little bit of shelter as well. And I kind of wanted something a little bit more substantial, let's so to speak. I wanted something to stand out a little bit more, because up to now we've only got that. We've got one path, and along the path we've got a vantage point and a viewing point. I wanted something what kind of like digged in and was more substantial into the actual habitat itself for a closer look for our guests. So it gives the impression that our animals can actually come quite close to this glass while still keeping your guests safe. So it create that better view of the animals for the guests. And I always try to put myself in the guests' shoes as well, of where they're going to get the best possible view from, and where I would like to go if it was a habitat in a zoo in real life. And this structure serves that purpose, but it was difficult to build. It was just monotonous, I think is the correct terminology. I'm not too sure. It was just trying to get it right, trying to get the angles right was such a pain in the ass. And then you can see me creating a circle here now. I do this all the time, but creating a plaster circle, and we're going to stick that circle on the end of this, which again was very fiddly and very annoying to do. I needed to try to align it up correctly, and then I needed to do the other side as well. But lining it up and trying to figure out how I wanted it to look in was the most difficult part of this building, because it is very abstract, it is very modern, but I wanted to do something like grand. This is the last episode, remember, this is the last habitat. I wanted to do something very unique building wise, because that's what I enjoy doing, and I needed to keep that modern look going throughout the zoo as well. Everything is pretty square in the zoo. We have got some circular buildings here and there, but I wanted something what wasn't square basically. And you can see I'm just finishing off the main viewing area of this build now, just getting everything into place, lining it up, trying to line it up the best I can. And that is the main structure of this doing. I just need to increase the height, so I'm just going to duplicate these, move them down, and then duplicate it and move it up, slide it up so it's all in line. And that is the basis of the main body. We just need to add some few bits around, and we're going to do that with stained wood pieces. We're going to recolour them. I started off with grey, then I recoloured them to like a weird brown, and then I went back to the normal conservation brown. I always say if something don't look right, just go back and change it. I will give you the full tour of this habitat at the end of the speedball segment, and I'll show you all the little changes I made and all the little pockets of foliage and stuff like that, and stuff what I might not have included or ran over too fast in the speedball segment. Give you like a full tour. And we'll have a little chat at the end as well. But you can see this is really coming together now. The windows are in. I just needed to alter some little bits as well, making sure everything is perfect, because I am a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to building stuff in Planet Zoo. Excuse me, I've got a lot of wind today. I keep hiccuping and burping a lot. I don't know what's going on. I'm not I had a Diet Coke earlier. That's probably what it was. It was that Diet Coke. Why did I do that to myself? I always end up with loads of wind. Luckily it's coming out the top end and not the bottom end, the wind, so we're okay for now. Right, just going to slide this into place, and we're just going to build onto it with the wood pieces and try to get it in a place where it offers a good viewing area for our guest. But also I wanted enough space for animals to actually get up to it. Right now it's a bit too close, and you can see me trying to delete pieces and work out how am I going to add to this and how I want this building looking in the end. And like I said, this is what I struggled with the most in this habitat. In fact, I even turned Planet Zoo totally off, went downstairs, had some tea, had a little chill, watched a movie, and then thought, right, I've got an idea, and went back to it. And sometimes I will do that. I'll just totally come away from Planet Zoo itself, playing it, until I can figure out in my brain how I want something to look and how to actually build what I want it to look like. And this is how it came out looking in the end. You can see it's complete. The roof has been added. We've had a little bit of foliage to the outside to give that impression it's a little bit of a barrier to stop the, the animals smashing the glass and trying to get inside the building. We did the same on the front here with the little mortar, but I've not put water in. I don't know why. I just wanted to keep the water out. I wanted it to look a little bit different. We added a little gate there for a little bit more of realism as well. And then inside, it's very simple. I've left it open, no sliding doors, nothing like that. Very kind of like simple in and out. I've not finished the inside, and I think that's something what I will do in the future live stream to mark the end of the zoo. Maybe put a little water fountain here or something. But look at that. Could you get a better viewing area than that for our guest? It is one-way glass as well to give it a little bit more privacy for the animals. And then inside here, I've not actually finished this bit. I need to clean it up a little bit, but this is going to be a staff zone. So if I just zoom out here, I just built onto it to the left, and this is where our staff zone will be. I just realised I've actually not got enough staff facilities in the zoo, and I thought it was a perfect place to put them in there. I've got separate roofs as well, added a little bit of planter, and I just bulked out this area and finished it off with some simple foliage of bushes and trees and stuff like that. And then over here, I've not showed you this, just a simple shelter. Now, how did I make this shelter? I'm glad you asked. I just took this, but without the trellisy parts. I just took the roof and the supporting pillars and put it there, and then it provides a little bit of a more of a hard shelter for our animals. And the animals are in. Look, here's our giraffes, and here's our zebra, and I might actually add more habitats, more animals to this habitat, because it is such a large, humongous habitat. I think I can add quite a few more animals in there, but this is how it looks from the top. You see on the right hand side, the mortar is done, the water is in, and how good does that watercolour look? I just love that colour of that water. It just looks so natural, but also man-made as well, if that makes sense. The water fountain is in full swing over there. We've got a little cave entrance going in there as well on that side. I'll just zoom out to show you the actual grand scale of it. How big is that? I've finished off all the rock works and closed it off to the actual zoo. I zoom in, it just fits in really well, doesn't it, in there, just like that. We've added all the little foliage and details and all the habitat enrichment items, and this is something what I actually like doing here. Just gives it the impression that our animals can't get to the tree and ruin the tree, and it's something what you would find in real life stuff like that as well. Just adding little bits of detailing like that. Do you know what I mean? If you do like 5 or 6 trees with all that detailing in, people will notice it. It just brings the habitat alive and makes it just more realistic, really. Now I showed you how the habitat came out looking in the end. That does conclude this video and this episode of Newtropic Zoo, this last episode of Newtropic Zoo. Look out for that live stream sometime in May. My name's Adam. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will catch you in the next Planet Zoo video.